The meadows stretched beneath the afternoon sun like a sea of gold and green, the tall grasses bending and swaying with every wandering breath of wind. Wildflowers scattered the hillsides in bursts of color, white daisies, blue cornflowers, and patches of crimson poppies that danced among the grass like sparks caught in a current. Children raced through it all with bare feet and loud laughter, their voices carried far across the open land, rising above the chirping of crickets and the distant rush of water somewhere beyond the hills. A game only they seemed to understand unfolded across the field. Shrieks of triumph followed by groans of defeat echoed beneath the endless blue sky. The wind tugged at loose shirts and tangled hair. It carried the scent of sun-warmed earth, crushed clover, and something sweet from the flowering trees that bordered the meadow's edge. A boy stumbled and rolled headfirst down a small slope, sending a cloud of seeds drifting into the air. The others erupted into laughter before chasing after him, their shadows darting across the grass like swift birds. Above them, swallows wheeled through the sky. The world felt impossibly large from the meadow. The hills rolled away in every direction, their distant shapes softened by summer haze. Beyond them stood forests dark enough to swallow the sunlight whole, and beyond those forests lay places most of the children had only heard about in stories whispered beside hearth fires. But those places were far away. Here, there was only the warmth of the sun and the feeling that summer might last forever. A chorus of cicadas hummed from the trees. Bees drifted lazily between blossoms. Somewhere nearby, a wooden wind chime sang a soft, hollow melody whenever the breeze found it. The children paid no mind to the passing hours. Time moved differently in the meadow. Afternoons stretched long and golden, and every game felt as though it might continue until the stars appeared overhead. One girl darted through the grass with a bundle of wildflowers clutched against her chest, laughing as three younger children chased after her. Behind them, someone shouted a protest over a stolen ribbon, though the accusation dissolved into laughter before it could become a real argument. The wind swept across the hillside once more, rippling through the meadow in shimmering waves. For a moment, beneath the summer sun, the world seemed content to simply be. Not far from the center of the meadow, a girl sat atop a sun-warmed boulder, watching the chaos below. While the others ran through the grass and shouted over the rules of whatever game they had invented this time, she remained where she was, her knees drawn to her chest and a half-finished flower crown dangling from her fingers. Not that she wasn't listening. She knew exactly who had fallen down the hill, who had cheated during the last race, and who was currently insisting they had absolutely not stolen anyone's ribbon. The wind carried every word. A small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth as another round of laughter drifted across the field. A daisy slipped from her flower crown and tumbled into the grass below. "You're supposed to wear it, you know." The voice startled her enough that she nearly dropped the entire thing. Twisting around, she found a boy standing behind her, with his hands shoved deep into his pockets and a grin stretched across his face. "It's a crown," he continued, nodding toward the flowers in her lap. "Not a weaving project." "It can be both." "No, it can't." "It can if I say it can." The boy opened his mouth as if preparing an argument, only to close it again with an exaggerated sigh. Without another word, he dropped down beside her on the boulder. For a while, neither of them spoke. Together they watched the meadow below, alive with running children, drifting seeds, and bright wildflowers dancing beneath the summer wind. A hawk circled high overhead. Beyond the meadow sat the village, its rooftops peeking over the hills like scattered stones. Thin trails of smoke curled from chimneys and disappeared into the pale blue sky. From where they sat, everything seemed smaller somehow, quieter, peaceful. The girl rested her chin against her knees, her gaze lingering on the dark line of forest in the distance. She had always wondered what lay beyond it. Not the stories the elders told beside winter fires, nor the faded maps hanging in the schoolhouse. The real places, the unseen ones, the places hidden beyond the hills and forests, somewhere far past the edge of everything she had ever known. "What do you think is out there?" The question slipped out before Abriella could stop it. Beside her, the boy squinted toward the distant forest as though genuinely considering the answer. "Trees." She rolled her eyes immediately. "Lots and lots of trees," he continued. "Maybe even more trees after those trees." A laugh escaped her despite herself. "You know what I mean." The boy shrugged. More villages, probably. That's all. What else would there be? Gabriella looked toward the horizon. The hills seemed endless from here, fading into hazy shades of green and blue beneath the afternoon sun. Beyond them, the forest stretched across the land like a dark line drawn against the sky. She had spent years staring at it from this very meadow, wondering what stood on the other side. Every path she knew eventually curved back toward the village. Every story ended with someone returning home. It was as though the world simply stopped at the trees. I don't know, she admitted quietly. Something. The boy snorted. Very specific. Maybe another valley. That's just more grass. Maybe a mountain. There are already mountains. Maybe a really big mountain. He opened his mouth as if preparing another argument before deciding it wasn't worth the effort. Gabriella smiled to herself. He never understood what she meant. It wasn't mountains or valleys she was curious about. It was the feeling that there had to be more than what she could see. More than the meadow. More than the village. More than the familiar hills that surrounded her entire world. Gabriella! The call drifted across the meadow, carried by the wind. Both children turned toward the village path, where a woman stood waving one arm high above her head. Even from this distance, Gabriella recognized her mother's voice immediately. There you are, her mother called. I've been looking everywhere for you.